Hey, what's up, y'all? It's the Governor John McLaughlin with the Abacus, um, coming through just to do a short little video. I posted this morning about it. I don't know how many of you saw it, but this video is going to be about why you need to make as much money as possible. I posted earlier in the week about how so many people will be, kind of have this negative view of money. And they'll say, I don't need money. I'm not concerned with money per se. I'm not a materialistic person. Money's not the most important thing. But oftentimes those are the same people complaining about wealthy people, talking about being oppressed by wealthy people, and, about how people don't have the opportunities that they want in life. And so I just wanted to kind of speak on that whole issue a little bit. And I think, first of all, the Abacus obviously preaches generational wealth. And a lot of people get it twisted because it's not really about the money. It is about money in the sense that we're trying to help you create wealth for yourself and that you can pass on to your children, your family, your loved ones. But it's really about more than the money. And so I'm going to talk about why is creating this wealth important. So it's really threefold. In my post earlier, I talked about it being twofold, but really it's probably more accurately threefold. The third fold is kind of so obvious that I didn't even think to include it, but I'll talk about it here in a little bit. But the first thing I mentioned was that your time is more valuable than money. So, you have a limited time on this earth. You're here for, on average about 78 years. And the majority of people are going to spend, 50, 60 years if you start out working at, 14, 15 or whatever. Most people work till at least 65. And a lot of people are not even being able to retire now. So they spend their whole life selling their time for way less than it is worth. As I've said before, there's no amount of money that an employer can pay you that is worth the amount of time that you give them. Okay, so no matter what your salary is, really, it's not worth the time that you are giving up. My sister, one of my sisters, just to use her as an example, I'm not going to put all her business out there, but she just got promoted at work. She's like at the chief level of her company. She works in HR. I don't know exactly how much money she's making, but I'm sure that it's a really great salary. But she's 44. She just had a baby that's 8 months old or something, and so she definitely struggles with that whole idea of, I have this great job and it's paying this money and I don't have to struggle from paying my bills and such, but she would really rather have her time to be at home with her child, raise her child, do other things that she's more interested in and more passionate about. And so that's what I mean when it doesn't really matter what your salary is. You could be making $20,000 a year or you could be making $500,000 a year. It's never really going to be worth what your time is worth. So when you learn how to create wealth for yourself without having to take a salary from other people that's not even guaranteed forever, that frees you from having to sell your time for less than it's worth. When you can create your own wealth, you no longer have to sell your time to other people. That brings me to point two, which is that when you are able to do that, now you no longer have to sell your time to other people. That means that you can spend your time doing what you really care about, doing the things that you really love and that you're passionate about, whether that's raising your kids, whether that's being an artist and creating things, whether that's creating healthcare clinics that serve underserved populations, whether that's creating agencies that fight for environmental justice and try to help clean up the earth, whatever it is that you really care about and that you're really passionate about, you can dive into, you can pour yourself into completely when you have your own mechanisms for creating wealth. Not only do you have the time now to invest in those fully, but now you also have capital that you can invest in those fully. So, think about the power in that. Think about how much power that gives you over your own life, and how great of a feeling that would be to not only be able to make money and provide a living for yourself, but then be able to use that money for something that you really actually care about. So not just making money just to pay your bills and pay your gas so that you can get to and from work and do it all over again the next every 2 weeks, but being able to take that money and put it into the things that you actually really care about. You want to change the political system or influence the political system, you need money to do that. You want to build some type of agency that helps people, you need money to do that. You want to be a creative and you want to create art or whatever type of art that is, it takes money to do that. You just want to be a world traveler and go jet sailing around the world, it takes money to do that. So that would be the second part, is that when you create your own wealth, you can fully invest yourself into things that you actually care about. Okay, and then like I said, there's a third tier, which I didn't even mention in my post this morning because it's kind of so obvious to me, but a lot of people don't get it. And I know that people don't get it because you hear people often say things like, oh, well, these billionaires, they can't even spend all that money in their lifetime, so why do they need that much money? Or you can't take your money with you. So I'm going to address both of those things. Number one, if you're thinking that people accumulate wealth just so they can spend it, then that means you don't understand wealth. Yes, you can spend some of it, like we were just talking about, to do things that you really care about and that you really love. But while you can't take it with you when you die, you can leave it behind to other people. And that's a big thing in the black community because for the most part, every generation starts from ground zero. And a lot of cases below ground zero. And so we're struggling our whole life just to make ends meet, just to get back on the ground zero. We got to struggle and we got to fight just to stay alive, basically. And so if you really care about changing the lives of you, your family, your community, and the best way to change your community is to change yourself and your family, and then it can kind of spiral out from there. But the best way to do that is to give the people coming after you a leg up so that they're not starting from ground zero or below ground zero. So, that's why I say it doesn't really matter where you start from. Even if you don't have a lot of money where you can invest, imagine if you were able, you came up with nothing, you were given nothing, most people, to start out. Imagine if you were able to leave behind for your child even $50,000 or $100,000, which in the real grand scheme of things is not that much money. A lot of us have this poverty mindset where we think that's a huge amount of money, and it's really not. But even that, that's a head start for the next generation. So now think about even bigger than that. If you were able to grow even bigger than that, imagine how much better things would be for our families and our communities if we were starting ahead of the game. And the people that we complain about and the wealthy people, that's how they stay ahead, because they always start from ahead. Their children don't start from ground zero. Their children start, up here. We're down on the ground level and they start way up here. And yes, that's unfair and yada yada yada. We can complain about that all day, but the reality is nobody's going to change that for us. The government's not going to change that for us. Wealthy people, even the quote-unquote progressive ones that say they want to give away all their money so that they can fund this and that, they're not going to change that. The only way to change that is through deliberate, conscious, intentional change. What we call in my field of study praxis, okay? Practice. Deliberate intentional, motivated action that is, you know, for a specific purpose. And so, that's really what it's all about right there. When you can learn how to create wealth, you can stop selling your time to other people. Number two, you can use that time you've saved to now invest in what you really care about: your family, your community, your passions, your ideas. And then thirdly, it allows you to give the next generation a leg up so that they don't have to start from the bottom and work their way up. We like to have this, quote unquote moralistic view of, people need to struggle and people need to suffer so they can learn these things, and that's some bull crap. All right, you don't need to suffer. Everybody's going to go through their struggles, yes. Even rich people, despite most people not wanting to acknowledge it, even rich people probably have their ups and downs and their struggles. But you don't have to struggle to be a good person. You don't have to struggle to, you don't have to live a life of struggle to, be decent, or to earn your life. Like, it doesn't have to be that way. So anyway, I'm gonna keep it at that, keep it short. If you want to learn about how to create generational wealth, my endorsement, as always, is fully the Abakas. We're gonna help you learn the methods that the wealthy people use to create their wealth and to keep their wealth. And definitely reach out to me if you want to get started on that journey. All right, bless up.